all of our $160 clocks are not working. Just that one.
Ready? Good evening, everybody. Today is May 3rd, 2023. Ms. Katie Fabiano will not be joining us today. She's at the NJSBA County meeting. Ms. Karen Bierman, our board vice president, decided to spend the day with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
First item on the agenda for today is the Acevedo residence sewer water easement. Okay?
Yes, so things here have changed a little bit since we put this on the agenda. The committee may recall the homeowner who resides between Barclay Brook and Brookside School had approached us regarding an easement so she could run water and sewer into her property. Brought it to the committee indicated that they did not wish to expend any funds. I got in touch with Porzio, asked them if they could provide a not to exceed amount for providing legal services. He said they could not, but that they would request a retainer from the resident. I reached out to Ms. Acevedo and I told her she would be required to put up a $5,000 retainer that Porzio would pull against for their work if Porzio was to simply review legal documents provided and prepared by her attorney, or that it could exceed $10,000 if they wanted Porzio to do the work. During the communication with Ms. Acevedo, who had planned on attempting to do the work in the last week of June, I had been carbon copying the Monroe Township Municipal Utilities Department on my correspondence. They contacted me and said that apparently they had not been receiving Ms. Acevedo's emails. She had reached out to them. They put a halt on things because they have some concerns about some of the documents that she has provided. In short, what Porzio has indicated that we went over this before, but she is looking to install or have installed essentially a 5x5 vault up in the grassy area near the entrance in between Barclay Brook and Brookside, where her pipes would be pulled through to her property. There is an existing easement between the two properties. However, getting from the easement out to the street is another issue. So would have to be a modification to the easement, which Porzio would be involved in. But first, the MTMUD must now work with Ms. Acevedo. They asked me to participate in a Zoom meeting with her, possibly sometime this week, where they will express their concerns and their requirements for getting this done. Long story short, she will not be coming in the last week of June to do this work. It could possibly come back later this summer. And again, we'll continue to run everything through Porzio.
Anybody have any questions? Comments?
Just a comment, that's done in summer? Because I thought it would be done this school year, but now that they've already.
Yes, the only thing we caution them on with that is rec department is using both Barclay Brook and Brookside this summer, and they do have buses in and out. We would have to coordinate the activities around that work.
But a lot less activity than the regular school.
Absolutely.
Okay, second item on the agenda is the office space planning for special services.
So with that, I know we previously discussed the extension of the lease, last year of the lease that we have an opportunity to extend. The committee reviewed that at the last meeting, and there was discussion that there's about a 45% increase that the landlord is requesting for next year, so that we would start to explore options. The handout that I provided shows you the 3 office suites that we currently occupy over there. And Ms. Ruella has since provided some documentation on how many people she has in each of the offices. Herself and a secretary in one, 7 staff members in another, and 4 in third suite, for a total of 13 staff members. And then Ms. Chanley had some
I have some ideas.
Wonderful.
So, after, I want to thank Mr. Tague. I asked him to put it on the agenda. We want some further discussion. So once we have the information, I have it as well, and I started looking over it. The first thing I did immediately was to contact our attorney to just confirm that although we provided a letter, we have not board approved, nor have we provided a PO to the landlord. So we are legally in good shape as far as timing. And we started to think a little bit out of the box. You know, as we've said over and over again, we finance, and as it's become publicly known across the state of New Jersey, many districts are facing tremendous financial constraints. So you have to start thinking out of the box and find ways to save money. And sometimes the ways to save money is not $100,000 or $200,000. Sometimes it's $7,000 a month, or what will be $10,000 a month. That all being said, we started looking at different options. One thing that that I mentioned at the last BG&T meeting was the possibility of utilizing the services, because he's one of our service providers of record, ZRG Group, to look at the current basement in central office to see what, if anything, can be done. We do currently house payroll down there, so, and a tremendous amount of file cabinets. That was one option. Another option I started thinking about specifically was in the back of the middle school, we have a self-standing, for lack of a better term, because it does not connect to the building. In the very back, it's a parking lot as well. If you're facing the baseball field on your right, it's right there. It's been here forever. When it was the high school, it was the alternative school, and then it was the school suspension area. And then when I moved in there, we had it for students in and out. I believe we had world language classes out there. And then after all the tragedies that occurred, we decided that it was not appropriate for children. We did not want the in and out because of the way we would not be able to properly secure it. It currently is, I don't want to use the word bay, but it's 2 physical spaces, 2 bays or 2 rooms, with separate entrances, separate doors. One is right now the professional development or professional staff developers. We have 3 individuals who are teachers who provide staff development to the district. And on the other side, which is closest to the building, they currently have, and I've spoken with Mr. Feldman about this, they currently have housed there for utilization of space, computers, hardware, software components, and their lead technology person, as well as 3 other technology people. So I started thinking to myself, perhaps there's some offices, because we've had some conversations about different positions in the high school. There are some offices that perhaps could be utilized by the staff developers, because they also go anywhere to do their staff development training. They go to the lecture hall, they go to the PAC, they go to Woodland, they go to the gym, they go to the lunchroom. So if we were able to move them out and then free up the space where the computer people are to move them to the other space, we would have an office for Ms. Ruella, and we would have space for 3 to 4 secretaries. The other staff members that were mentioned, that was shared from Ms. Ruella, are BCBAs and, I actually have it right here, BCBAs and child study team members. Child study team members and BCBAs work directly with children, work directly with staff, and they can easily be repurposed into the schools. Look at the schools that they have their most cases in, because it's all IP driven. Perhaps they could be in that school, and a lot of our staff do go from building to building, so that would eliminate those positions. And then we also have our central registration, which we currently utilize. We might have space with retirements and so forth in the high school where there would be access for individuals, if they wanted to register their children to come in, the same security they have to come in any other building. And then there'll be there's an external area there, a desk, an office rather, that leads to the outside. I could show us when we walk out here. So just thinking out of the box, the biggest concern is we can make this happen, but there are 40 file cabinets of student records that we are required to keep by law for 99 years. Adam and I had this conversation. We have approximately 600, 620, 630, whatever the number is, every time children graduate. Those records get digitized. Oh, I said that. I always want to say digitalized, digitized as they move on. So a couple of different things we could do. I reached out to the attorney when I was having this conversation and said, by law, can they be housed? And I'm not saying we're doing this, but options. Can they be housed if we needed to in an appropriately, environmental friendly, air conditioned, whatever the term is? It's not going to be $7,000 or $10,000 a month to keep the storage unit. Storage unit. He said, absolutely. Then Adam and I started having conversations. Could we look in the basement of the middle school? Could we look in the basement of the high school? Not basement. There was like an attic storage that you could actually stand in. That's air conditioned controlled, and so on and so forth. The reason why I bring these things up is, yes, it's more work for us, and yes, it's a little bit more stress and it's more change, but we have to be conscientious of the financial cost of everything. And $7,000 a month, which will become 10 or 9,985, whatever it was, is a cost that we really don't have the monies. We truly do not. I haven't had the conversation yet with Ms. Ruella, respectfully. I'm comfortable saying this, and I'll be happy to call her tomorrow. And I'm going to physically go to her office, and I'm going to go to the middle school. And I haven't had the conversation with Dr. Higgins from the high school, or Dr. Higgins from the middle school. But we're thinking out of the box. We're working as a team. What can we do? If we were able to alleviate that cost, what is involved? So I spoke with Mr. Tate again. We talked about Would it be an internal move, all hands on deck, his words? Would we have to utilize an outside source of moving? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. Maybe we could do it all internal. Is it something that can be done by June 30th? If not, perhaps we reach out to the the leasing company. If we decide that's where we want to go, we'd like to pay you for 2 months. Maybe we push it to August. I think we need to take a serious look at taking these individuals. Anybody who works with children, regardless of how many schools they're in, should be housed in a school. Any secretarial function that we need, I want to absolutely respect Ms. Sorella because she's in charge of, everything is under her, from waste, garbage, homeless. I mean, it's sincerely every single thing. So I don't want to take away those individuals. If she needs 4 individuals to make sure that everything runs properly, I want to have 4 individuals. But if you really are creative and you look at a space and you use it properly, perhaps that space could accommodate 4 secretaries.
So I have a question. The storage of those files that we have to save by law.
40 cabinets.
Right, 40 cabinets is that's
A
a lot of
lot.
files. Is the law that you have to have a physical paper copy, or is the law that you have to have a copy? So can't we digitize those cabinets and then get rid of them? And we can put everything on a hard drive. One hard drive will hold all
So
that.
cost-wise, I know that Dr. Lehman's been heavily involved in moving forward. We put in a certain amount of money in the budget every year. Do you have, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
I
could you?
don't have a rough number,
No.
I just know it's costly because it's a,
Time
student
consuming.
student records. Yeah, and so they're cataloged, so we have to have access to them when we need them, if it's required by law. As we know, 15, 20, 30, 40 years later, people come back
They
and
still do.
need stuff, so, it's not as simple as
Scanning.
sending somebody in front of a scanner
It's not the way it
and
works.
just uploading them to a cloud drive.
Okay,
So my thought process is, I will go look in the buildings, specifically in the middle school, the basement, look in the high school, in the one area that Ms. Morales brought to my attention. And additionally, maybe the thought is, see what can be housed on property. The lawyer was very clear with me. You are not required to house it on property. We are legally allowed to utilize the facility. So perhaps we separate them by years, and the ones that we know are going to be closer to digitizing, we leave on property. No one says 40 cabinets have to go in space, maybe 15 go here, 10 go there. I don't know, but I just feel like, I know it's something that I just literally started thinking of yesterday. The staff developers by definition are teachers. They are part of our MTEA. We're very proud that they do a fabulous job for us, the 3 of them. So perhaps they'll be in areas where teachers are. They'll be in the high school, maybe in the teacher workrooms, or they'll be in a different space. That would not be a bad thing by any means, because they are teachers and they can provide access, easy access. See, I feel very strongly that the BCBA's and child study team members, yes, they have to meet with Ms. Ruella. She could have meetings in any of the buildings. We're all one. You could go anywhere you need to, but perhaps you'd be housed. So I think.
Renting a climate control
Yeah, that
storage
climate control,
unit
thank you, I couldn't think of it.
would be way
Cheaper
cheaper.
than $7,000.
And, you could do a local one. There's one right in Jamesburg. That's climate control.
And
That's a couple $100 a month compared to a couple of thousand.
There's one also Prineville. So, Mr. Tague, would you be comfortable looking into what that cost would be? And in the meanwhile, him and I had the conversation about perhaps tomorrow we'll take a ride over. We're gonna, physically look at the space. We want to make sure it's accommodating, for the people who need to move around. I'd like to have a conversation with Ms. Ruella. I apologize, wasn't able to speak to the administrators that I'm discussing here, but we had a very busy day working on other areas, so I wasn't able to make those phone calls, which I do prefer to do normally in advance. It wasn't possible, but we're all for, I use the expression chipping in, because if we need to save money, we need to look at other avenues, especially if we know they've already said it's going to be approximately 45% rent increase. So even if we kick that can and we pay the $7,000, which is still costly, we know that come the following year, we'll be having this conversation, we'll be looking at almost $10,000 a month. Unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
See, I'll tell you, going back 8 years to my introduction into the district, you had to go there for registration, and it's an awkward and not the right first impression for a family coming into the district, going to the same place where you get your blood drawn, so register.
I go to school.
It's a weird, it's just an odd, I thought it was odd.
Yeah, and in the high school, whether it be the high school or, wherever she's placed, and, just looking, just because we always done things a certain way doesn't mean we should continue to do them that way. And it's just an opportunity. I was very fortunate to hear from legal counsel that we are going, Mr. Tague is going to prepare a letter just saying, in reference to the letter I sent you, you know, it has been presented to the board and we are in the process of whether we'll be moving forward for board approval. So we just want to show them the courtesy that if that's not something we're going to do, or if it's something we need for 60 days, I'm going to have to definitely coordinate, have that conversation with Mr. Tague, have that conversation with the individuals that are involved. What does it look like packing up? What are we moving? How do we move the file cabinets? Where are they going? You know, logistics, it's logistics. But if it saves money, it's worth the work.
Absolutely.
It's worth the work. So it's something that, I'm definitely thinking, I'm definitely passionate about those that work with children. They might be in 4 schools, and I understand that. Then make one of those schools your home and go from school to school. So that's what we're thinking. Is it doable? Yes. And like he said, you know, we did have that conversation about whether or not we would have to pay a moving company. And you had mixed feelings, I know, Mr. Tague, about whether we'd have to use a moving company. Could we do it all with our own maintenance crew?
We used a moving company last time. It's a big lift. It'll take a lot of people pulling them away from their regular jobs, so.
Is that, I mean, cost, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do we have any idea, or can you say what it cost previous? I know you don't know what's gonna cost.
But it wasn't anything outrageous.
It wasn't? Okay. You know, sometimes you have to spend some money to save some money.
Honestly, so it's 99 years.
Yes.
So every year, whole grade should drop off, right?
That gets
So
digitized, yes.
What do you mean digitized?
Oh, so we,
Now, so and when it reaches 100 years, you don't have to get the record number.
yeah, but we will be dead.
No,
No,
I'm saying, so
I mean, I know, I won't be here at 100.
So like right now, are there records over 100 years
No,
old? There's not?
no,
Okay.
no. No, I didn't even know what drops off is we digitize the year of the graduating child.
Okay.
So I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, this year, right.
And any additional, whatever we have budgeted, whatever she has budgeted, she makes a dent in
Right.
the files, existing files. But it's, you know.
But if we could save $7,000 a month, maybe we could take 7, maybe we don't take 7, maybe we take 3,500 and we say, what more can we digitize for 3,500? Like, you know what I mean? Like, look at what we're
Rid
spending.
of them all together.
I mean, and it is true, it's not a type of process that we could just, it's not just scanning.
Right, I
It's,
understand.
you, like you said, it's cataloging. And we have had situations with legal coming back 50 years.
And to that point, I know you mentioned that we could get creative in where we put it. I would caution in separating them. I would caution.
The 40.
I would say just keep it all either in a climate control unit altogether or in one of our buildings altogether. Not, because it would just add to the chaos. We, you know, 'cause there's this continuity, knowledge transfer between people coming and going. Where is this record? Come on.
Well, I think the only way I don't disagree. I think the only way perhaps I would separate them is just straight alphabetical. So if I don't know, and I'd have to check with Ms. Ruella. So let's say they are by year, but within the year, I would assume that they're alphabetical. If they're straight by year, then I would separate them by year. So you would have, if there's 40 and let's say 50 years, and then the newest 50, you would separate them that way because then you're not worrying about it. I would assume since they do it by the grade that leaves, it must be by year. That would make sense.
I would assume the times that we've been in, like Marietta's been in control of that office, that's probably how they've
I would
been,
think so.
you know, but some of these files have been in files for 50 years. But we put them in files 50 years ago. No one has the opportunity to go back and readdress those, right? They're there, we know they're there, and we go in there when we need them.
Right.
Do you have any questions?
I think this is a great idea. Thank you for looking into it. And I hope the staff.
But in 100 years, I will, I promise I'll be dead.
Not have it.
For those that may be happy, I will.
Okay, third item on the agenda is we have some buses for sale, Mr. Tague.
Yes, so I provided you a list from transportation. There were 9 buses that are out of service. As you know, the state mandates a life for a school bus, and once it is expired, you can no longer use it for student transportation. We'd like to advertise to get these sold. Now, the transportation department is working with the business office to locate titles for some of these. They've been working with the DMV to get lost titles. The board authorized me back in the fall to sell some other vehicles we have. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So if you're okay with selling these as well, I'll try and couple everything together and do one sale in the coming months.
Hey, none of the parts from these buses are salvageable for our other
But they
buses?
just,
They take off what we
Yes.
could use and then sell the
yes,
non-running bus, correct?
correct.
Cannibalizing procedure.
Yeah.
Ms. Ruella is watching. She's commenting. She's watching the meeting and commenting to me.
So I had a question on that, Mr. Chabon. So these buses are not currently in use? Or they are still enable by the time?
It looks like one is a 2011, which will reach the 12-year cycle at the end of the school year, but all others.
So I know we had in the budget money to buy a couple buses, if I'm not wrong, but there's a lot more in this list than what we had budgeted for. So my question is, are we outsourcing, demand supply? So we're letting these buses go, what's going to happen? How is that going to impact our transportation?
It won't. So they plan when to stage the new buses in. It's a very simple process. They know when those are coming offline and when new ones need to come online. So
Okay.
whatever they bought gets them to where they need to be status quo.
Okay, so
The
they're
challenge it
already
presents for us is storage. We're
bigger problem.
desperate straits at the central office and transportation yard with parking so that we can get 9 buses out of here. So if you're in agreement, I'll tell Kathy to move these behind the middle school. They'll be an eyesore for a while, but at least it frees up space until we can get them sold and
That's what we usually
get them
do
out of here.
in the middle school.
Can't park them on the golf course, get them out away from the students. No parking over there?
Well, they are out of the way, the students behind the middle school. We don't put them in the parking, we put them on the grass area, the road.
Okay.
But I like that area, that's
Yeah.
completely devoid of the morning traffic
Yeah.
in middle school area.
What is the process with that property that we own? Can we utilize it for something like for parking
If you
buses?
want to put the buses there, you can put them there.
Guess that's something we'll let you handle, I guess.
Yeah.
It's your expertise.
I think you run the risk of,
Hanging out,
Nobody's gonna
vandalism.
steal the
They do that in
buses,
the
they
back
don't
of the
run.
all the time.
We have had vandalism at that facility, so.
Yeah,
I mean, we have cameras here, that's the only reason why I say
yeah,
that.
that junk, who cares?
Yeah.
That could happen behind the middle school also. We don't,
It has actually happened
we
behind
don't
the
have
middle school.
security behind the middle school.
No, we don't have cameras
Let's
facing that
not,
direction.
let's not talk about where we have security.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
It's not-
you're absolutely right, thank you.
I'm fine with it.
I just,
Utilize-
I mean, they're junk, it's not like.
They're not junk, we're selling them, they're not.
we do use that space, like we put them on the grass, but that is a high traffic area in the morning for pickups and
Yeah,
drop-offs.
I just worry about kids at the middle school, maybe after school, when they're in the park after school, playground after school and jumping around the buses and they can get hurt, then we're liable for that, but
She's claiming those.
that could be anything on the school property, right? So, I don't know, we'll let you handle that, how's that?
Yes.
All right, number 4 on the agenda is kind of 3 parts, so we'll go through part by part. The ROD grant for the district telephone system at Applegarth, correct?
No, it's the entire district.
District, okay, let's go with that one first. Okay.
So I shared out with you just for information purposes, the ROD grant applications. For the telephone system, I only gave you 1 school. Unfortunately, the state requires that you submit each school, even though we're doing a district-wide replacement, they require a separate application for each school.
50-page document.
Yep. So I had to do 400 pages for that application. So that is in.
Wow.
As you know, that is our only capital expenditure for this year in the 23-24 budget. Should we get the grant money, that'll be found money that the district can appropriate elsewhere.
And how much is that total?
About $800,000.
Great job, Mr. Tague, thank you.
You won't see that in there because again, this is just nice, so I didn't want to give you 400 pages, so. The next ones we have are the Applegarth roof and the Applegarth HVAC upgrades. As you know, we have money in the budget for designing the Applegarth roof replacement project. Considering that we would do that, the board budgets it, construction next year. Being that the ROD grant is kind of a one-time thing, I took the liberty of applying for the HVAC piece. And that's about $3.5 million. We may get the grants, and then puts the board in a situation where you have to come up with your end of the money for this. So if the roof project goes through and you get the full 40%, you're still looking at a little over $2 million would be the board's commitment to do the entire building. You could pick sections of the roofs. Just to bring you back up to speed, we have the 1936 building roof, the 60, 79, and 83. So you could break it up and do portions of those roofs. The other reason I leaned into going for the grant on the HVAC piece is the roof and the HVAC go together so intricately, and it puts us in a bit of a quandary in terms of how we proceed. If you are going ahead with the roof project only, you have to design the roof with the existing HVAC equipment that is there. You design around that, pitches, equipment, curves, all that kind of stuff. If you're doing both, it's a completely different roof design, pitch, et cetera, new equipment in different locations. So the two kind of go hand in hand. We have an opportunity here. We have available to us monies through the Emergent Capital Needs grant that we got early. We received that grant the previous calendar year, and we utilized that for the middle school HVAC work that is currently contracted for. Not to get off base, but we have a $1.6 million contract over there. That is all the HVAC equipment in the Performing Arts Center. That contractor mobilized yesterday, just so you know, so we've actually started that work.
That's good.
And as you recall, at the last PG&T meeting, the board authorized a contract extension of time for that contractor due to equipment coming in. We're expecting to get the units to take care of the instrumental and choral classrooms at the end of this month. So they've now mobilized to do ductwork connections, VAV boxes, those kind of things, getting ready to receive those units and put those in place. And as we know, the large units, which take care of the auditorium proper, those are scheduled to come in around September 1st, and then construction there would start. So we're in a good place, and we used that money well last year to contribute towards those projects. So we have money again, which we were planning on using for just continuing on HVAC, buy some equipment. What I would suggest is use that money as you did last year and apply that towards the HVAC design at Applegarth. If the board is making the commitment of $3.5 million for the roofs at Applegarth, you've made a commitment that you are salvaging that building. So you know you have to take care of the HVAC. This gives you an opportunity to get the design done for the HVAC on that building kind of ahead of things. And if the grant comes through, the right grant comes through, and if another avenue, which I know the board is exploring for possible outside funding, comes through, you're really in a good position to move ahead. It makes it more attractive for those other avenues to contribute. And putting that grant money towards the design, not lost money, because as you know, that stuff has to be done. So,
Do we have a price tag on what it would cost to upgrade the HVAC
yes, that's what's in the grant. It's up, $6.6 million
for the AC unit?
at Applegarth School rate, replacing the boiler rooms, HVAC equipment, et cetera. So that's 6.6 million. So I would suggest take that grant money rather than just buying a unit somewhere and steering that towards Applegarth, because it continues your commitment towards Applegarth. It puts you in a better position with some of those other avenues that you know you're exploring, make it more attractive. And then also, again, getting back to the Applegarth roof at the $3.5 million, if you get the full ride grant, puts you in the low 2 million range. That's not unheard of for the board historically to finance that as a capital project. We've done that in years past. When we were at the middle school, we did that stopgap project there. We were about $2.6 million, I think. That was strictly out of the capital budget. So doing the full lift of the roofs at Applegarth in one time is not out of bounds. But you could also look at, again, you've got 4 roofs there. You could pick 1 or 2 of those roofs, take part of that $2.5 million and take the rest and put it towards your most emergent need on HVAC and continue to pick away. You'll have the opportunity as the grant money comes through and as your designs are in place. It gives you a lot of options.
What's the timing, if I may? What's the timing for the grant, the acknowledgement if we're going to get the grants?
I would hope we were going to see something heading into the summer. Grant portal just opened and I submitted, it's done through an online portal. I did all on Friday.
It's
So
part
ours
of
are-
DOE state budget that's going
Yes.
through ratification and stuff now.
Correct. So there are
And they're
different
secure
levels.
monies usually, or
Excuse me?
are the monies secure in that
Yes,
budget?
so
Or
they make an
attached to-
announcement. We have grant monies available. We are setting this money aside, and then they tell the districts to go ahead and apply. So you're looking at, I think the number was 675, 700 million or something for the state. Sounds like a lot of money, but when you look at that many school districts, you know, it dwindles quickly. I heard unofficially that the state told people, you know, who are applying, there are different levels of projects, level 1, 2, 3, based on severity, starting with security, building, infrastructure, those kind of things, level 1, working your way down to, you know, like turf field, those kind of things. And they basically said, kind of unofficially, I heard, is don't even bother putting in those lower level projects, because there won't be enough money to take care of everybody's wish list.
And there's no competition with the SDA districts on this.
It's open to the state. So the
Well,
SDA manages a lot of those projects. So you're making the commitment to save Applegarth School, you're putting the money, you made a commitment towards the roof, the HVACs, the other piece. I strongly recommend considering using those grant monies towards the HVAC design and continue down the path that you're headed. And then hopefully those other avenues come through or some other option to get you some money, then if the grant monies come through again too, you're in a much better place.
To take that, price for the roof replacement, in that price, is the gutters and leaders all included in that?
Yes.
And that's a rolled roof? Rolled
Different
roofing,
roofs.
hot tar, what is the roof made out of? What material?
What's different, so you have the shingled roof, over the 36 building. You currently have built-up roofs on the 68, 79, and 83. You could go with, usually you select the roof based on HVAC equipment. So if you're gonna have a roof that does not have a lot of traffic on it, you would go with what's known as an EPDM, ethylene polymer DM monomer roof. We have some of those. Nice thing about those is you can do an overlay one time during the life of the roof.
Right.
High traffic roofs, more of a multi-level, hot mop, built-up roof is kind of the norm.
So we had also talked in past BG&T meetings about putting a metal roof on the older part of the building instead of shingles.
Right.
Did we get a price for that at all, or we didn't explore that any further?
The board hasn't decided on any design.
Right.
What I would suggest there, though, is remember, you've already done this project at Barclay Brook very successfully. That turned out very well. Your shingles these days, you get a 50-year shingle. It's keeping the design fee down because Rich and Design Ideas Group know a lot of what they're doing there is a cut and paste from the previous project. We do have to make some modifications, but it is the same building in a lot of ways, so it really helping to reduce our design fee for the project.
All right, one thing I wanted to speak about to the entire committee, and hopefully we'll bring it up to the whole board, is I'd like to, even though they're not bound to do it by law, of course, we know that. I'd like to reach out to some builders in the area, like Lennar or Edgewood Properties, Jack Morris, and see if they would find it in their hearts to help us, help our school district out and maybe contribute to our roof project, either labor or maybe material. I don't know how we could work into that, but, you know, these builders have made a lot of money in our district, and I think touting a school with a new roof would be nice on their brochures when they're selling their homes, and I think it's beneficial to them as far as tax concerns. So I would like, if this committee agrees here, have Mr. Tate with contacting a few of them and asking if they would help our district. I know they can't do it by law, we're not, forcing
They're
them,
allowed
but just
to
asking for their good graces to help us. I don't know if it's gonna get anywhere, but it's worth a try, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You don't know unless you ask, right? What do you guys think?
I'm all for it. I mean, if we can ask for donations.
What is your take on that?
The board directs.
I know that, but what is your personal opinion?
Any experience with that, or have
I
you
know
heard
it's gonna
that?
help already, but.
I think that a few years back, the board had reached out, and wrote a letter, and asked and got zero reply. But again, I think, if the message is crafted in such a way that, lay out what we're dealing with because of all of the building, and all the homes that they're building. And, if you craft it a certain way, I think you may get them to, and maybe, for that, we work on some type of a plan for, an appreciation plan. Maybe they get, signs at all of our fields, or, something.
Careful with them, and we ran into
Yeah.
that problem before. That's
Super
a
Bowl.
problem.
Right.
Problem.
Well, I mean, I'm for it. Anybody have objection to it? I mean,
I'm not
Yeah,
objecting
it's not
to
like
it.
we're spending money to ask.
right. All right. So I mean, do we have to go to the whole board for that, or can it just committee acts to do it? How does that work?
Giving you a resolution.
The board needs
Yeah,
to
the board doesn't
accept the
like it.
donation. I don't know.
Right,
if
they
the
don't
board
need to,
needs
right.
approve and ask for a donation. I don't know. That's my thought.
So
When the donation comes, the board will
The
have
board would
to
have to
approve.
approve it.
I guess we
You're
could do
giving
a show by
update.
hands. Everybody who was for it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
I had,
Anybody have any questions? I knew you were gonna ask me something.
gotta keep my track record.
That's good.
No matter what she
I'm
says.
glad.
I honestly, I did not really understand some part of what Mr. Tate explained, so Rich, we applied for a grant for the roof for 3.5, for the HVAC about 6.6. Are we, if it gets accepted, do we not get all of the money? We just get a percent?
I give
Typically,
up to 40%.
up to 40 is what we get, okay. So if we have authorized that ask for the grant and we get that 40%.
We need the
We
60%.
have to be ready to foot the 60% bill.
That's correct.
We wind up borrowing to do it if any of the other trees don't shake out.
And to what you just suggested, we get 40% of that 3.5, we don't get anything for the HVAC, but we could use part of that to work on the roof and part of that to put into the HVAC project? Can we do that? Like the grant is not specific to the
No.
project?
Grant is very specific.
Okay,
Very much so that even though these are the estimates that I came up with, after you get the grant, when you ask for your reimbursement, you have to submit contractor invoices. So if the project comes in under, obviously the state is only going to pay, if it comes in at 3 million instead of 3.5, they're only paying 40%.
and you.
If it comes in over though, you have the opportunity to request
More,
if you can validate that.
but we put the bill before they pay us,
Yes.
which is another concern. And the grant money that you were talking about moving from middle school, that is not being used in middle school because of the delay? Is that what the?
No, it was used. That was last year, we received a grant and we used that money, applied it to the project. We offset the design costs for that project.
Okay. And we had the ability to use that 1.6?
Yes.
Even though it's a different.
No, no, no. No, the 1.6, the board is already engaged in and set the money aside for it.
Okay,
When we received that grant, we took that money, there's a design fee, and we paid for the design.
okay,
And then the board paid for the 1.6. We're currently under contract for all of that stuff. The board also has separate contracts that we've done for over at the middle school for the chiller, as you know, the air conditioning chiller,
yes.
as well as 2 large package units on the 1997 wing.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we were a little bit early, so.
It's one more thing.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, the NJSIG.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's on my second fault.
See that?
Number 5, then, that's NJSIG Safety
I
Grant.
should love letters.
Yeah, this is New Jersey Schools Insurance Group. Give you a little history on this. Been successful the past 5 years with getting grants, usually in the $40,000 range. Going back to 2018, got a grant for $39,783, which we used for playground safety. In 2019, we got $43,499, which we applied to the security vestibules that we did at school. 2020, got roughly $43,000. We did the Mill Lake School rubber surfacing, we did playgrounds down there. In 2021, received about another $43,000. There we did the Mill Lake CCTV camera upgrade. Last year, grant got about $44,000, and we did Brookside CCTV. So we have an opportunity again. Hopefully it'll be in that range. We've hit 100% every time we've applied for this. I've talked with Elliott Feldman about priorities, and Barclay Brook School CCTV is next up. Woodland has been replaced within the last couple of years. Oak Tree has been replaced, as well as Applegarth. Middle school just got a few cameras over there. High school needs an upgrade, but it's a much larger project. So we have the ability, if the board supports this project, to apply for the grant and basically do a turnkey replacement at Brookside. So if you're in agreement with that, I'll start that grant application process. It will involve board resolutions. You'll see at the upcoming meeting authorizing me to go ahead and apply for this, and hopefully we get it.
So that'll be for Wednesday.
Any questions? Okay, being that we're done early, I do this, and a lot of committee people don't do it, but I have some time left over, and we have 2 members of the public in the audience that took their time to come tonight, and if they have any questions, I'd like to afford them 1 question each if possible, if they have one.
I was just wondering if we could go out to do a small referendum for the 2 million or the money to support the Applegarth, which I thought was a great idea. I don't know if a small referendum, if we could do that for capital improvements. I'm not sure that we can.
Districts do it all the time.
And
That's
I-
how most of them
But we
Right.
don't do the
So I'm wondering if maybe we could go to that immediately.
Would have to be November.
No, we missed the deadline for November.
Missed the
We already checked on that. So the deadline for November was April.
No.
Maybe we could work on that immediately to show that it's a necessity.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
And.
Well, I think we have to assess all of the needs of the district. If we're able to get this through the grant and
Other
other
sources that we're
sources
working
that
on.
we're looking through and working on, that if that doesn't, then yeah.
But you need it, right? So we say that's a necessity, so maybe we can start moving forward.
No, we're moving forward with it.
No,
That's,
but a small referendum for that.
When would the next referendum be if it's not November?
Just so you know, the RIDE grants cannot be used for referendums.
Oh, we can, so then that's.
Oh, so that answered that question. But that's good to know, because now we know what we can't do.
You go for debt service aid as we did on previous, but not.
Gotcha. Okay. So hopefully the other directions that we're going in will pan out, because we are, you know, we don't want to turn away the 40%, but we still need 60 of it.
right.
Oh, well, I try.
You know, it may not be for this project, but we need to keep small
We need to keep,
referendums in our,
Absolutely.
you know.
We need to keep everything,
in our-
every little dollar of whatever we're gonna
Or
save.
anything else that
Yes.
we taxpayers have spoken against big referendums, but our needs are staring us in the face and we need to.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay, everyone.
Wow. It's a record.